how to stop the spread of fake news. Is legislation the proper remedy? Our position on this issue is that there are already existing legal remedies in place to address this, and we encourage everyone to take legal action against the parties who are propagating fake news. We also could not overemphasize the importance of promoting media and information literacy as a shared responsibility and advocacy to help the public exercise discernment in consumption of information and responsibility in generation and dissemination of information. We have respectfully submitted to this body our position paper on this issue for your further reference, Madam Chair. And the best way to counter fake news is to be properly informed. Let us work together in achieving a shared vision of a safe and healthy information environment for our people. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you for your steps, your suggestions, Secretary Andanar. I would like to ask who else might be ready for a presentation. Ms. Maria Ressa.
Thank you, Senator Poe. So I think to even talk about legislation, what we'll show you in the next 10 slides is really what the ecosystem looks like. What are the facts? So let's look at the facts, and then we'll present to you the data that backs this, including the networks that power this. Let's start, please. So the information ecosystem, I think first is to look at it as a global phenomenon. And you can look at some of these. Rappler took part in a study that looked at something called patriotic trolling. Patriotic trolling is state-sponsored online hate and harassment campaigns to silence and intimidate. This is the findings of this study, which are set to be released in the coming months, mirror the findings of the November release of freedomhouse.org. They studied 65 countries around the world and found that in 30 of the 65 countries that social media provided cheap armies to potential authoritarian and dictators to control and manipulate public opinion. The November study is already online. You can Google freedomhouse.org. Unlike what China used to do, so let's say as in 2015, China flooded the market. No, go back. Yeah. Exponential growth of technology, because then when people don't know what is real and what is fake, when facts don't matter, then the voice with the loudest megaphone gains more power. Here, as in other parts of the world, in Australia, for example, women are found to have been the target 3 times more than men. And then looking at the pattern in the Philippines, and we can share the data with you here, there are 3 steps that have been taken. And I think you can look at this in the context of Senator Laila de Lima. The first is you attack credibility of whoever the target is. You allege corruption, and then you repeat that exponentially. Because if you say a lie 10 times, truth can catch up. But if you say a lie 1,000,000 times, that becomes the truth. Second, the second step always is to use sexual violence. We've seen this here repeatedly in the Philippines. It inflames biases, fuels misogyny, and then degrades the target as a sexual object. We've seen this again directed against many women. And then finally, the last step before taking it into the real world, because there have been 4 waves of these types of attacks. Hashtag arrest Laila de Lima. Last May, I saw hashtag arrest Maria Ressa. We'll show you how it happened. let's go to the next slide. Why the Philippines? This is January last year, and it's gotten even. The numbers are a little higher. The Philippines is actually the top country that goes online globally. We spend the most number of hours online. I believe up until last year, we were also the largest Facebook market in the world. 97% of Filipinos online are on Facebook. Facebook is our public market. You're talking about roughly 58 million to 60 million Facebook accounts. Next slide. So this is how we first found this. This is our discovery. Go back, please. Okay, sorry, I don't have a clicker. So this is, we'll show you the series that we did. And this dates back to September of 2016 when the Davao bombing happened. So the Davao bombing happened on a Friday, if you remember. And then early Saturday morning, we found this. Click. This is a website that took a March story. So it's September 2016, right? It took a March story and made it appear like it was happening that day. And then this website, along with others that were created that day, spread this lie. Go back again, please. One more time. Spread it through Facebook accounts that were used in the campaign of then Mayor Duterte. So I think what you're seeing in our country is something that's similar in other countries around the world. A campaign machinery becomes weaponized. And the irony, of course, is that it didn't become weaponized until after President Duterte won. That happened in July of 2016. And that, when we looked at the data, we then published this article. Click, please, Gems. Propaganda war weaponizing the internet. If you look at the date, it was last year, more than a year and a half ago, or nearly a year and a half ago, October. The second part of the series looked at algorithms of Facebook. Let's go to the third part. And this answers a crucial question, which is, how far does fake news spread, right? How far can a lie spread when you put it together in a propaganda network? This is an account called, she called herself Luvimin Cancio. Luvimin Cancio was a troll for ABS-CBN, GMA, Rappler, because she was so active. She drew our attention. We looked at it, and we looked at her photo. The middle ground there is an Excel file. Those are her friends. And then all the way to the right, those are the Facebook pages where she posts. If you look again, those are the campaign pages, right? We took her photo and then did it to Google reverse imaging. It's a Korean pop star. And then we took a look at who she followed. Let's go to the next slide, Jem. Those 26 accounts, because they follow each other, become one network that rise and fall together, right? So all of those, we then took the data that they told us they were, where they worked, where they went to school, and then we put it on an Excel sheet and checked every single one. When we checked every single one, including their names, every single data point is a lie. So this is a sock puppet network of 26 fake accounts. Now, how far do they reach? We manually counted, and it took almost 3 months to do that, how far that reached, because this became the basis of how we can automate the gathering of data. When we counted how far that 26 fake accounts can reach, we found it hit nearly 3 million other Facebook accounts. So what they spread, as they moved up in the algorithms, influenced 3 million other accounts. We came out with this story in October 2016, Fake Accounts, Manufactured Reality on Social Media. We thought we hit a nerve because this was, after we did that, the day after, this is what flooded my Facebook feed. These are only some of the attacks that I'd gotten. You can see some of them are quite creative. The one on top, Maria, you are a waste of sperm. Your mother should have swallowed you. You have to laugh about some of these things, right? And then the name, that account was posted publicly, and then a common friend of ours, die stupid bitch. If you don't like our president, leave our country. This is a real person, a doctor, a young doctor. And when he was tagged on my Facebook page, he said, "Oh, I left it open in a Facebook cafe." But when I went back over we did a private message because I thought maybe he just didn't know this is against the law. Then I noticed that he had attacked 3 other women journalists in exactly the same way. So this is the day after. Over the next month, from October to nope, go back please. Over the next month, from October to November, I received an average of 90 hate messages per hour. And even me saying that was taken and misread by the propaganda machine and then was used to attack me. So let's go to the next slide. This is hashtag Arrest Maria Ressa. Rappler came out with a story that looked at the conversation between President Trump and President Duterte. We published a transcript. And again, if you look at this statement, Rappler just made the Philippines a legitimate target of North Korean nuclear missiles. It's kind of laughable, and yet people believe it. So let's look at from the ecosystem of the bloggers to, let's call it the pro-Duterte bloggers, to the campaign machinery. Go back, nope, back. I'll call it one at a time, Gems. So from there, you go to the campaign pages. Click, please. Ipatawag na yan sa Senado, hashtag Arrest Maria Ressa. Nandito na po ako. Thank you for calling me. Then from there, it goes to a real person. Let's click again. And this one is, I smell an arrest, possible closure of Rappler.com. This is a real person in Singapore. And let's go again. Now, here's where it turns more sexual. Maybe Maria Ressa's dream is to become the ultimate porn star in a gangbang scene. I won't tell you his name, but he places it publicly. And then finally, let's go to this one. So this is the evolution of it. Me to the RP government, make sure Maria Ressa gets publicly raped to death when martial law expands to Luzon. It would bring joy to my heart. 90 hate messages, and I'm not the only one. I think many of the people here, women journalists in particular, who are reporting, who are asking tough questions, have been the targets of this. So that's the way it worked. Now, what did we do? Let's go to the next slide. So what we did is we gathered data. We took the data and we formed what we began to call a Shark Tank. By mid last year, we had maybe 12.5 million accounts being part of it, meaning if you spread something that was a lie, you became part of this because we mapped the spread, and then maybe about 350 million comments. On the left side, you see the fake news sites. The middle column is the Facebook page that spread it. And then the one I look at a lot is the average reposting, because you can see the average reposting, how often. Now, this is a tool we built for our social media team, so we can tell the difference between a paid kind of cut and paste account to a troll, to a fake account that is run by a real person, blah, 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 all through. Let me show you what it looks like. Again, this is a very rudimentary CMS we built so our social media team can deal with it. So let's look at October 2016. We're going to Sally Matay because her reposting rate was 17 times for every post. If you look at what she's posted, you can clearly see it's a cut and paste method, right? Just cut and paste. And these are where she posts them. If you look at the websites and the groups of where she posts that disinformation or what she wants to post, you can see the combination of the pages. This is where this kind of begins the ecosystem, right? You can see both the Duterte campaign pages and the Vice President former Senator Bongbong Marcos coming together here. We can also check for my social media team. They want to see, all right, well, let's plug in a name to see what that person has posted, what that page has done, and here you can see it come out. Okay, let's move on. Let's take the data. What do we do with all that data? Well, we can take all of these networks and actually begin to map them. This is data with the weighted in degree and the weighted out degree and the degree for hashtag Lenny Leaks, an attack against Vice President Robredo that happened last year. These accounts altogether when you put the data together, will bring this. This is the foundation of our information ecosystem in the Philippines today. This is hashtag #LennyLeaks. When I run the accounts that are attacking other women journalists, they're similar to this, different leads, but these are the content creators, and they're broken down by demographic. You can see the pseudo-intellectuals, the middle class, and the mass base. That, as a base, is where our information comes from. The second one is when you take the social media team and it jumps into the real world, and a favorite place where it jumps is, let's click again, is traditional media, right? So we in traditional media also do it, but one of the bloggers here, the Pro Duterte blogger, also writes for this publication. And then finally from there, there's also the connection to the state. Let's click again. This is PCOO saying that it's now going to actually partner with Russia. Martin and I were, Secretary Andanar and I were in Hong Kong together, and you know, he said that he would take the PNA and other agencies and send them to China and Russia for training. I just cautioned, and I know we spoke about this already, I just feel that that is a difficult thing, because more power and kudos to everything that you're doing with PNA and with the agencies to try to upgrade them. But I think falling into this kind of pattern, using different disinformation tactics, could work against all of us as a nation. And then finally, we close the information ecosystem loop by actually appointing the bloggers, and let's click to office. And this is where this now becomes a truly potent ecosystem, because when Facebook calls the shots, as it does, when that becomes our public space, we've created polarized division. And let's click again. Let's go to Facebook. I was so concerned about this that last August in 2016, I actually went to Facebook with the data to say, you know, I'm really worried because presidential elections in the US are coming up, you know, and then as a joke, I kind of said President Trump could win. I laughed. I think Facebook has looked at the data. I've gotten as far as talking to Mark Zuckerberg, and let's click there. And I think that Facebook is doing its best. Rappler couldn't have become Rappler without Facebook. We do need Facebook. At the same time, I feel that the kind of mass base engagement system that Facebook global, the 6 parts are global, right? The second is geopolitical. These are the state, the people who want to control it for geopolitical purposes. Third, financial. You see this in the States. You see in BuzzFeed, they showed you how kids in Macedonia were selling ads, right? Fourth, reputation. These are the people who want the attention and reputation benefits that a platform like Facebook or Twitter could give them. They are motivated by the feedback loop of clicks and follows. Fifth, entertainment. These are the guys who are on for the lulls, right? These are the mischievous fun. They look at it as fun to join taking someone down. So they've extended online gaming practices. So they're going on a quest together. And then finally, sixth one is just the power to be able to actually assert through digital action and influence. So these are like the 4chan people who use mimetic warfare. All 6 of these have all been employed in the Philippines in different ways. We fall into one or many of those categories. But I think what's very clear is that the old world of traditional media is gone. And this new world, we're watching creative destruction. And we would like to, as we have called attention to this over and over. In terms of legislation, finally, I'll close on this. There are existing laws. I agree with Secretary Andanar. I don't believe that we should have more legislation, but I think we should impose existing laws on this and demand accountability. I think the biggest problem is the lack of accountability, the impunity that's happening right now.
Thank you, Ms. Ressa, for your presentation. In fact, that's one of my questions I had with my staff and my colleagues about slander being part of the cybercrime law, which is apparently it's not. So that's something that we need to take up because it can also limit our privilege and our right to be able to speak out against a particular person. So if it's just libel but not slander, these are things that we really need to study. But, you know, John Neri sent me a letter, and he, in his own reflection, said that there are two parts to fake news. One is to actually, the first is an act of dismissal. We use the term fake news to dismiss, to legitimize any information we don't like. So kung ayaw natin, sabihin natin, minamaliit natin yan, wala, fake news yan, di naman yan totoo. The second is deception. We use fake news to deceive. Ibig sabihin, ginagamit natin talaga yung fake news para gumawa ng, mag-manufacture ng mga hindi totoo na mga balita. So, dalawang bagay yon. Yung isa, pag merong legitimate na balita, pero hindi ito sumasang-ayon sa ating mga layunin, sasabihin natin, hindi, fake yan. Nakita natin yan, nangyari sa ibang bansa. Pag merong isang leader na hindi naniniwala, halimbawa sa CNN, sasabihin niya, hindi, puro fake news dyan sa CNN. O kaya, ginagamit naman ang ibang pamamaraan para magkalat ng hindi naman totoo. So, dalawang bagay yan, deception and dismissal. Ngayon, gusto natin marinig mula sa eksperto mismo bago ko ibigay ang floor sa ating mga kasama. Dito kay Professor David, Clarissa David. How would you define fake news? Is it the same as propaganda? Ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Sa akademya, no, pag pinapag-usapan namin yung problema, we don't like using the term fake news. Kasi yung term na yun, nasubvert na siya. Like you said, ginagamit siya para i-attack ang any piece of information we disagree with. You dismiss it by saying it's fake news. And in fact, President Trump of the U.S. has been credited for being the source of the term. So we prefer to make a distinction between disinformation and misinformation. And within those two big baskets, meron yang iba-ibang klase. So misinformation includes misinterpreted facts or beliefs that are packaged as raw information and then spread throughout the network. So meron tayong mga misinformation na hindi naman political in nature. So I think that's one thing we need to add to this discussion is not all fake news, the way we call it, is about politics. We have to be concerned about the fake news that's not political also. Kasi we have, you know, in the extreme side, flat earth society people saying that the world is flat. And then you spread that throughout the network and children are seeing it. And then you have to explain it to your children that the earth is not flat. So you have these kinds of information where it's not really just about the politics. So misinformation includes satire posts, for example, na ang intent niya is humorous, pero kumakalat sa Facebook network and then pinaniniwalaan ng mga tao as if it were real. So nawawala yung original intent for it to be laughable, and then it is spread out as if it was real, tas naniniwala ng mga tao. So meron mga iba-ibang klaseng misinformation where there's no real intent. Disinformation po ang mas malapit sa propaganda, where you have intent to deceive. And it's not necessarily fake news, strictly speaking, na ibig sabihin, yung information na basics niya, yung facts, are fake. Pero yung interpretation niya, could be for propaganda, right? So the way something is framed or the way a story is told or a meme is constructed could take the same set of facts and communicate a different message.
So can you give us a context on that? Something that you've seen on Facebook or that
Yes.
you may use as an example, for example, to deceive the readers or the
Okay.
public.
So paminsan, we see political memes, for example, that you take the same photo and then you put different graphics on it and change the way it's interpreted. So one example that I use in my talks is, if you remember when Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano was interviewed on Al Jazeera, and he made the statement that 3,500 people killed by the police were all drug addicts. The screen cap was taken, and then it spread out throughout two parallel sorts of networks where you have a version that's saying na ang nanalo doon sa debate ay yung journalist, and then you have a version that's interpreting it as ang nanalo sa debate ay si Alan Peter Cayetano. There's no real manipulation of fact. It's a manipulation of the framing of it, which means the interpretation, when it spreads through a network, becomes
So what's your solution? Let's say you're a Facebook user, you're a reader. What would you do? Would you go to the original interview? That's exactly what I did to see.
Yes.
Because you're right. Again, that could be a subjective interpretation of who
Yes.
actually won. But
Yes.
I see. That's why you have to see the raw facts sometimes.
Yes, you have to see the raw facts. And also, so I think tama yung direction na we need to stop focusing too much on penalizing content producers. Kasi nga parang maraming pinag-uusapan, paparusahan natin yung mga content producers. When in fact, maybe the long-term solution, because penalizing the content producers is playing whack-a-mole. There's always going to be another person behind them to take their place, right? Or a fake website, you close it down. The next day, there's another fake website. So ang ginagawa natin, the collective efforts of our good journalists and the press are spent fact-checking lies. And then they don't have time to actually do in-depth quality reporting. Nasasayang ang oras nila. So ang long-term solution is really, I agree that it's media literacy and news literacy programs and teaching people that verifying truthful information, giving them the tools to do that, is important. That said, I don't think it should be done solely by government. I think it should be a collective effort of the formal education system, by CSOs and NGOs and the media themselves, to really inoculate the public from potential effects of disinformation or misinformation.
Actually, Professor or Doctor, I think it's important also that in our school system, I mean, very basic, even in grade school, we're taught how to do research. So we're even punished if or castigated if let's say we plagiarize, correct?
Yes.
So there are basic methods that you can impart on children, not even on children, even on high school students, on how to go about verifying information. Because I believe, and with all due respect to Secretary Andanar, you were asking for a higher budget so you can have like a media literacy program. But human nature, you're from government, of course you will always defend the stand of the government. So we need really an impartial group to be able to roll out a program like this. For example, the academic institutions. But something that the PCOO can really do is to make sure that you promote the executive order signed by the President on the freedom of information, because the reality is, Secretary, maybe the PCO might be complying, but many government agencies, when you ask for information, take time, number one, releasing it, if they release it at all, because there are no penalties for it, real defined penalties. And I appreciate your being our partner in the Senate to push for it. Here in the Senate, we're still in the period of interpellation. But unfortunately, it's not the priority bill. So, okay, now I digress. We're going to freedom of information, but actually it's part and parcel also to get the right facts for us to be able to make an informed judgment. So maybe going also, somebody also who really explains well, is aside from Mr. Desillas, is Mr. Alampay. So what's your take on this? What should the government do? You explained to me before, and I can't forget it also. It's important to check your sources, not just to stop there, but to be able to come in with an open mind and really see the work that has been put in a particular opinion piece or in a news piece. Sir.
Magandang umaga po. Maraming salamat po. I don't have a prepared presentation. I feel fortunate that the presenters who spoke ahead of me gave me more than enough things to reflect on. I start, of course, with Maria, and I think wala naman pong hindi sasang-ayon na yung mga pinakita ni Maria ay talagang sobra at and arguably criminally prosecutable. It should be something that certainly it underscores why we are all here, because it is true. Fake news and trolling, in particular, magnified by political interests, whether it's government or any political power or any entity with the resources to magnify and weaponize, as she said, must be held accountable and must be brought to the full force of the law. That said, I'm also happy to start on the same page as Secretary Andanar and with my colleagues, that I believe at bottom that there are enough laws. There are laws on libel, there are laws on slander, we have the cybercrime law, we have anti-bullying laws, we have anti-violence against women and children. There are laws against disinformation. There are laws that should hold government accountable for any information or data that they come up with. And I remember in the last hearing, I asked, are there laws regulating lobbying, for example? And I got a tweet back from practitioners who said, yes, there are laws even regulating lobbying. So once we cross into discussions about propaganda, and let's not even call it fake news, I do agree that I think propaganda is a safe word for me. That even when it comes to lobbying, we have laws on that as well. The real fear for us, therefore, is that because precisely nothing is actually new. You can erase the internet and look back on the days of the 80s, the 70s, the 60s. You can go as far as you want, and you can recall white papers, you can recall how information and disinformation is spread via old technology or old and traditional media, and all of these have existed. Misinformation, disinformation have existed for the longest time. And despite that, we have settled, or we have come to our current laws that strike a balance between the need to protect the reputations of people and entities, at the same time to protect civility and the freedoms of people, their rights to express, their rights to press freedom, and to be heard. It is a balance, and that balance is something that we worked very, very hard for. Iniingatan natin because konting kutkot pwedeng malaglag. This is what we talk about when we say a slippery slope. We're very, very careful. Every time we open this, we're very careful dahil alam natin na meron tayong kinakalikot at baka masira natin yung buong pundasyon ng ating lipunan. The fear, therefore, is we might use these new problems, and these are new problems. We might use these new methodologies and these new technologies as an excuse to reopen an old can of worms. In the last hearing, for example, legislators were already thinking out loud. Should we, for example, require people to always to come out of anonymity? Should we require people to not have pseudonyms? We reopen the discussion about defamation and criminal defamation, and should we add new things to it? Should we even define what fake news is? And here I agree with Professor David, even trying to define it immediately opens a can of worms and a set of problems that I think sets us down a very dangerous path.
So, Mr. Alampay, just your suggestions. How will we be able to arm ourselves against these? And, you know, there's a reminder by a legitimate journalist na, ma'am, sana naman hindi lang nakafocus sa paninira ng fake news sa mga politiko. Totoo yan, because even if you go to legitimate sites, you can see, akala mo talagang news, pero actually it's an advertisement for a particular medicine, an age-defying cream, weight loss program. So things like that, that's not really been verified. So Mr. Alampayag, and then Senator Bam has a quick question also after you.
Muli pa, wala namang pagkakaiba sa sinabi na ng iba. I believe that the laws are there. We should encourage people to use the law. Fight for your rights, defend what you need to defend, and use the full force of the law. Take legal action, as Maria said, and as Maria is demonstrating, and as private citizens are demonstrating. I'm very happy to see the NBI Cybercrime Division here, because I know that they have incredible world-class capability. Even with the presentation of Rappler, you see what even private citizens are capable of showing.
So you were able to investigate, you were able to check their capabilities, sir?
No,
the NBI?
There have been many reports. I mean, certainly the track record of the NBI in looking and doing cyber sleuthing, which I cannot even begin to understand. But the NBI, even from the days of the I Love You virus, was able to track down, just using strings of numbers, were able to track down an anonymous hacker that literally brought down the internet worldwide. And the point being is that we are afraid, and we talk about laws because we're afraid that we cannot understand the technology and we cannot keep pace with it. What I'm saying is actually no, we have a lot of history to show that with dedication and with investment and with technology as well, we can fight back. So, hindi ko na po pagkakahabaan, I agree that the important thing is to use our rights, to use our law, and to fight back. I will, however, add, as I said in my last presentation, the last hearing, I think there is something to be said about government and government's accountability in spreading information and responsible information. In the presentation of Maria, if there is any link, for example, to suggest that anybody on government payroll or using government money, our tax money, therefore, there is a higher accountability on government to be transparent and to be accountable for any information or any infrastructure that they have built.
Thank you, Mr. Alampay. Now I will give the floor to Senator Aquino.
Maraming salamat, Chairman Grace. Maraming salamat. So I have a few questions for a few of the individuals here, but maybe we can begin with Secretary Andanar. Secretary, no, nakita niyo po yung presentation ni Ms. Reza. Nakita niyo po yung mga attack sa kanya, which are hate speech yan, no? In fact, iba pa yung fake news sa hate speech. It's a totally different animal altogether. Sa tingin po ninyo, may space po ba yan, yung ganyang klaseng pananalita sa ating lipunan?
Sa palagay ko po ay dapat respetuhin natin ang ating mga mamahayag, ang ating mga institusyon, the Fourth Estate, Your Excellency.
Yeah. Hindi naman Excellency, Secretary.
Your Honor.
Yeah, thank you.
Baka magdilang ang hell.
Matagal na ho kami magkakilala ni Secretary Martin, no? So, klaro ho tayo, no? In your presentation, you talked about disinformation and misinformation na nilalabanan po ng PCOO. And now I just wanted to clarify, pati hate speech, sa tingin po ninyo, hindi rin siya naaayon sa ating lipunan. Tama po?
Tama po yan.
All right. Because the three, Professor David, that we really, I think, talk about is disinformation, misinformation, and hate speech. No? Tatlo. Now, I think maybe one issue siguro, Secretary Andanar, that we might have to face as PCOO is that marami ho sa mga naglalabas ng misinformation, disinformation at hate speech ay mga supporters rin ni President Duterte. No? I think that's something that we can all accept. In the last hearing, si Attorney Banaag was there and another USEC was there. Was that who was that USEC?
Undersecretary Egco, sir.
Echo.
Egco.
Yes, USEC Echo. Who's still here? Who's just here behind us? Or if he's here, no? Nasabi ho niya na sa analysis po ng PCOO, meron rin talagang maling impormasyon, no? Misinformation, disinformation, and even hate speech that come from websites or blogs that are supportive of the President. So ang tanong ko po, Secretary, maganda ho yung presentation po ninyo. At sabi nga ho ninyo, you're serious in trying to fight fake news and hate speech. Would you be willing to talk to these websites? And many of them kasi ho, have the President's name in the website, no? Meron kang Duterte Defender, meron kang, ano yun, parang balitang. Anyway, we gave this list previously to the PCOO. Handa ho ba kayo na i-organize sila at pag-usapan na siguro naman ho, mas maganda kung hindi na tayo gagamit ng misinformation, disinformation, or even hate speech against the critics of the President?
Your Honor, alam niyo po, maraming supporters si Presidente Duterte na merong mga kanya-kanyang Facebook pages. Hindi ho sila yung mga supporters na nasa ilalim ng PCOO. Ako po talaga ay naka-focus lamang sa pagpapalakas ng government media sapagkat ako'y naniniwala na kapag meron po tayong isang malakas na government media, mas madali po nating mapaabot sa mga kababayan natin yung government policies. Hindi ko po kilala yung mga may-ari ng mga Facebook pages na yon. But I can certainly ask people around kung kilala nila itong mga may-ari ng mga Duterte pages.
So are you saying, Secretary, na kasi many of these sites and many of the Facebook pages came from the campaign, no? Galing ho yan sa kampanya noong 2016. Sinasabi niyo po ba na hindi niyo sila kausap, hindi kayo nag-coordinate sa kanila, hindi niyo sila ino-organize? I'm sure meron kayong pag-oorganisa na ginawa kahit po noon na nag-carry over ho ngayon.
Salamat po sa tanong, Senator Bam. But for the record po, noong 2016 ay hindi po ako kabahagi ng kampanya ni Pangulong Duterte dun sa kanyang core communications campaign. I was still working with TV5.
But surely yung core communications campaign, kilala naman ho niyo kung sino sila.
Nakilala ko lang ho ang core communications campaign team after
Yes.
nanalo na po ang Pangulo.
Yes, so pwede niyo po silang makausap kasi sigurado naman ho ako, like in any campaign, kilala niyo po yung mga grupong ito, no? Or at least some of them. Ang mungkahi ko lang ho siguro is maybe for the benefit also of PCOO na kapag nagbibigay ho kayo ng presentasyon na lumalaban ho kayo sa fake news, na pati itong mga ibang kaalyado na mga sites ay pwede nyo rin ho sigurong makausap through those members who organized them during the 2016 campaign of the President.
Yes, Your Honor. I will reach out to the original
Core group.
communications core group.
Let me ask NBI, nung nakaraang hearing po, binigay ho namin yung listahan, no, ng CBCP, di pa pang grupo pagdating sa fake news websites. At hiniling po namin na gumawa kayo ng analysis kung sino po yung mga may-ari o sino po yung nasa likod po ng mga ito. Nagawa niyo po ba yon, sir?
Yes, sir. Una, I would like to thank the gentleman in front for the nice compliment. Thank you very much, sir. Yung NBI po ay nagsasagawa na ng analysis and we are in coordinating with our digital forensic laboratory doing the job, sir. As soon as we are through with it, we will be submitting reports, sir.
Handa na po ba kayo na magbigay ng impormasyon po sa amin kung sino po yung nasa likod ng mga fake news sites na ito?
As of the moment, sir, still in the process of verifying. As soon as we are finished with it, we'll be submitting official reports, sir.
To the committee?
Yes, sir.
Opo, maraming salamat to. So hihintayin po natin yan. Maybe at a later date, pwede ho nating ma-reveal kung sino po yung mga may-ari ng. This is about 40 or 50 sites, no? Actually, lumami na pala. This is 87 sites na sa pananaliksik po ng iba't ibang grupo, nagsabi na pinanggagalingan po ng pekeng balita, no? So iba pa yun dun sa hate speech, no? Secretary Andanar, no, I think the elephant in the room, pag-usapan na rin natin. Dun sa presentation ni Ms. Reza, she pointed to ASEC Mocha as one of the reasons or one of the purveyors of fake news in the country. In the last hearing, na pag-usapan naman ho natin to and we exchanged some words with her. There were many of us who was able to talk to her. Unfortunately, wala ho siya dito ngayon. Pero bilang boss ho niya sa PCO, ano pong masasabi po ninyo sa larangang ito?
Maraming salamat po, Your Honor, for the question. Unang-unang ho, nung pumasok si ASEC Mocha sa PCOO, ay nilinaw ko sa kanya kung alin ang official Presidential Communications Operations Office media platforms. So kasama po yan, dyan ang PCOO, Presidential Communications Facebook page, Twitter, nandyan po ang Instagram, RTVM, PTV, PNA, Radyo Pilipinas, Philippine Information Agency. Ang sabi ko po sa kanya na lahat ng balita na pumapasok at lumalabas sa plataforma ng gobyerno ay talagang real news. Wala ho tayong puwang para sa fake news. Kaya sabi ko sa kanya, we need to produce a program for you para naman mapakinabangan natin yung kasikatan mo. At pag ikaw nagsasalita, pag ikaw ang mensahero, ay tiyak na maraming manunod. So meron po siyang dalawang programa sa PCOO. Ito po yung DDS podcast at yung Duterte Good News. And this is produced by the PCOO, RTVM. So as far as her work in producing segments for the President, for the Executive Department, wala pa naman hong kontrobersya dun sa mga produce officially ng PCOO para sa kanya. Now, dun po sa, alam ko, the elephant in the room is really her blog, which has more than 5 million followers. Ang sabi ko sa kanya na as far as your blog is concerned, ay hindi po yan refleksyon ng PCOO. So we are not, whatever you say there, hindi po PCOO yan. So I was telling the public also that if we judge PCOO based on Mocha's blog, I think it's also unfair for the thousands of workers of government media who work so hard para po lumakas yung ating plataforma. The Mocha blog does not represent PCOO. As I showed earlier, yung ating video presentation, yung ating mga iba't ibang mga media platforms na ngayon po ay kahit papano ay umasenso na, ito po yung opisyal na government platform. Ito po ang dapat natin basihan sa ating scorecard sa PCOO.
Thank you, Secretary, for that. No, unfortunately, hindi ho kasi ganun yung katotohanan. I mean, in reality, it's the other way around. No, the blog of ASEC Mocha, which of course has such a wide reach, really reflects upon PCOO and your work. No, I'll give you an example, and this is probably in the classification of misinformation. No, we filed this was actually the first time na na-troll po ako. It was the Zero Food Waste Act. And this was last year, and again, coincidentally, right after the elections, not even during the elections, but right after. We filed the Zero Food Waste Act. Maganda po yung batas. Sinisikap po niya na yung pagkain po sa ating bansa ay hindi po masayang. It works with distributors and other establishments to make sure that unserved and clean food is redistributed to more Filipinos. Tinawag ho yung pagpag-bill. No? Unfortunately, dahil na-troll po yun, this law, which is being done in Korea, in America, in other countries, and actually being done by some municipalities here in the Philippines already. Maganda po yung batas. Nasama siya dun sa pamumulitika. I don't think that law would have been trolled kung isang member po ng mayorya, yung naghain po ng batas na yon. But because it was a member of the minority, na-troll po ako, na-troll po yung batas. And right now, it's in limbo. Until now, I think si Asik Moca still refers to the bill as the Pagpag Bill or me as Boy Pagpag. That's misinformation. No? Now, kung sasabihin po ninyo, nasa vlog na yun, wala na ako doon. I don't think it's I mean, if you talk about accountability, kung accountability po yung pinag-uusapan natin, hindi naman po nawawala yung pagiging assistant secretary niya kapag nagsusulat siya ng blog. No? I'd like to think that yung 1,000 members po ng PCOO, kayo-kayo na rin ho mismo ang pwede pong mag-ayos ng problemang ito, na siguraduhin ho ninyo na lahat ng mga membro po ng inyong samahan hindi po gumagawa ng misinformation, disinformation, or even hate speech. No? I don't even mind if there are criticism. No? Si Yusek Badoy criticizes me always for being a cosplayer of my uncle. No? I don't mind, to be honest, because my uncle's a national hero. So mabuti nga na idolo ko siya. Batikos po yun. No? But that's not necessarily misinformation, disinformation, or even hate speech. So I think for most politicians, we're adults, we're mature, alam ho namin yung laro ng politika. Pero kapag magandang batas na po yung natatamaan, kapag magandang effort po yung natatamaan, pag isang bagay na sana pwede nating pagkaisahan, no, para sa taong bayan, sana po may hangganan din yung batikos tsaka yung kritisismo. No? And this is just my plea to you. No? And I can see that you're trying to run this office very professionally. Nakikita ko naman po yun eh. And I've spoken to many members of PCOO. Nakikita ko rin naman ho na gusto nila na maging matapat at maayos po na organisasyon. But there are certain aspects to it. And one, I think, is yung mga member po ninyo, I think kailangan ho nyo talagang mas bigyan ng pansin yung kanilang nilalabas on their personal capacity. At pangalawa, yung iba pong mga supporters ho ng presidente, if we can, and this is not just for the supporters of the president, because even his detractors, unfortunately, are also engaging in hate speech. Sana po yung taong bayan, tumigil na po sa anumang threats, kasi nung nabasa ko po yung kay Maria, no, yung about rape, about killings, it's horrendous, no? And I don't know, but it makes me sick to my stomach na yun ang hihilingin mo para sa isang tao. No? And I hope it makes us all sick to our stomach. And I think bilang mga pinuno, bilang mga leaders, we're responsible for that. Na yung batikoso, walang problema, yung kritisismo, walang problema. Pero pag umahantong na sa peke, sa pangluloko, o sa ganong klaseng pananalita, dapat magkaisa naman ho tayo na itigil na po ito. Yun lang po, Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bam. Actually,
Madam Chair,
Secretary Andanar, you may respond to this quickly, and then I would like to add something on this particular topic. Sir?
I completely understand, Senator Bam Aquino, ang inyong damdamin po, and I will reach out to MOCA in that particular issue about the good law that you are sponsoring.
Secretary, I know you mentioned earlier, I was listening back there, you mentioned that Secretary Moca's blog is separate from PCOO. Nakalagay naman doon talaga malinaw, Moca Uson blog. Subalit, may overlap po ito sapagkat doon sa ating batas, no, RA 67, itong public official as defined in RA 6713 as elective and appointed officials and employees. Ngayon, yung Section 7 ng 6713, nakalagay na they may engage in the private practice of their profession unless authorized by the Constitution or law, provided that such practice will not conflict or tend to conflict with their official functions. Now, for example, I have here in my office people of their own Facebook page. In fact, I'm not really an active user in the sense that I don't stalk my employees' Facebook pages. But sometimes, some call my attention that some of my employees are posting things that are not of my official statement. For example, they have their own political inclinations, even if they work for me, because I strive to hire people from a cross-section of society. So some of them are pro this particular politician, some of them are against. But I have to talk to them and appeal to them that you have to make a decision and a sacrifice. If you want to remain with me, what you say can be misconstrued and may be interpreted as my official statement, particularly the ones in a critical position in my staff, those that belong to the political group, the legislative group, for example. Now, if you're in the administrative admin, then, you know, they can do it because I don't want also to curtail their freedom to speak out. Now, Secretary Mocha has been very effective in the campaign of the President, and I believe an excellent strategy for any administration to hire somebody as diehard or as a firm believer as somebody like her. Because you need to be able also to spread whatever your policies are, your good news are to the public. On the other hand, as communications undersecretary, USEC ba siya o ASEC? ASEC.
ASEC po.
Assistant Secretary, it's very hard to separate her own personal opinion from that of the PCOO. Have you ever considered, and I will ask this and I hope you answer me in all candidness, that since her own private blog is also a way of expressing and communicating, that it is indeed overlapping with her official function, perhaps even using government time to be able to to be able to fulfill her work in her blog. Have you ever considered perhaps that this is a conflict of interest and it should be shut down, sir?
I've spoken to Mocha about it, Madam Chair, and we have also spoken about her freedom of expression and also her way of speaking on her own Facebook page. And I have called her out a few times, and she has also taken down a few of her remarks. Your Honor.
Kasi Secretary, ganito, I think there was one post also recently about supposedly a circular sent by Saint Scholasticas about students being encouraged or forced to attend a particular anti-rally demonstration. Okay? She posted this immediately on her website, apparently because it came from a parent or her blog, I'm sorry. Immediately took it down anyway, but not after 13,000 likes or 13,000 shares. So it's already gone viral. Because people believe her. So people do this, but this is not the first instance, and I don't want to single her out. On the other hand, she's the most prominent. So, Secretary, I sympathize with your efforts. On the other hand, if somebody's undermining those efforts, what steps are you taking? I mean, it shows also strength in leadership. For you to be able to assert your authority, is there a suspension or is just merely a slap on the wrist? Sir, because I would also like to read to you exactly how, let's say, the mainstream publication checks their formula. For example, what standards do you give your employees? They have a 3D formula in this publication. It says, it is a deliberate act of fabrication. Is it deliberate? Is it manipulation? Disguised? Or pinagkakaila to look and sound and feel like the news? And third, is it designed to deceive? So these three things should be vetted first before it is published or before it is shared in their blog. Sir, so what do you do? What particular penalties or action do you take for employees? Yes, Attorney Anna.
Madam Chair, for this particular issue, that of the Saint Scholastica, ASEC Mocha was not yet appointed then, during that time. And if there is something that the Secretary and the PCOO had been doing with ASEC Mocha, and last hearing, Madam Chair, ASEC Mocha promised that she would be more circumspect with whatever she posts on Facebook. And she is not exempted. She knows that she is not exempted from any accountability that the law provides for anybody, public official man po o hindi. And that was very clear po dun sa sinabi po ni ASEC Moca last time.
Okay. No, I understand this has been before her appointment. But on the other hand, also the quality of people that we take in. Now, what is the goal? Because I think that it wouldn't be... I think it would be understandable, for example, with the many supporters of the president. And I would like to clear this. I think that a lot of people would tend to dismiss it and say, oh, mga bots lang yan. No, I believe there are a lot of organic supporters of the president. I don't think it would be something that we should condemn if, for example, a group of loyal supporters actually hires somebody as, like Secretary ASEC Moca, to head their pro-Duterte campaign, even now, because it's a constant campaign, but to be under the Office of Communications, the official communications office, not just of the president, but of the Republic. Wouldn't this be in conflict? I think that ASEC would be more, would be permitted more freedom to speak out should she be in the private sector. Sir.
Madam Chair, I believe that Assistant Secretary Moca Uson has a specific market to serve, and she is serving that market well as far as the official Presidential Communications Operations Office platforms are concerned. We also believe in her freedom of expression, and we also believe that she
Sir,
has to
sabihin mo
be
sa akin
accountable.
anong particular market at sabihin mo sa akin kung hindi niya ito magagawa bilang isang pribadong mamamayan at hindi kawani ng gobyerno.
The market she serves based on the social media analytics are those who are outside of the country, the OFWs, and the class CDE. The number two, I also believe that she has to be accountable to the law. Kung ano man ang sabihin, hindi naman siya exempted. Kung kakasuhan siya ng libel, in fact, kinasuhan na po siya ni...
So, Sec, hindi ba niya dinadaan sa inyo kung sino po yung... Kasi, di ba, sa mga mainstream publications, meron syempreng editor na dinadaanan. So, bago po i-post, hindi lamang siya, kundi yung iba sa inyo, sa PCOO. Pero ang problema kasi, private blog niya yun eh. Di ba? So, hindi po talaga dadaan sa inyo yun. Yun yung problema lang natin dito.
Opo.
Hindi natin sinasabi na dapat tanggalin niya yung blog na yon. Ang sinasabi ko lang, dahil siya'y napapailalim sa inyong tanggapan, yun po nagkakaroon ng kalituhan. So,
Tama
sir,
po.
ano po
Ma'am.
yung inyong nais na masabi dito?
Tama po kayo, ma'am. Hindi po dumadaan sa PCOO ang lahat ng pinopost ni ASEC Moca sa kanya.
Pero sinabi din po ninyo, kaya nga dito yung overlap,
Okay,
ha?
sige po.
Sinabi ninyo, hindi dumadaan sa inyo, pero may mga sinasabi kayong pinopost niya na pinapatanggal nyo rin.
Ito po ay base rin sa mga tawag na natatanggap ko from a senator na hindi ko na lang babanggitin na siyempre nasaktan sa sinabi ni Moca. So sabi ko, ba't mo naman ginawa yan? So sige, Secmar, tatanggalin
For the
ko.
record, hindi ako yon, ha?
Hindi po kayo. Hindi po kayo. And I also believe, Madam Chair, that well, Moca naman is presidential appointee, so it's a prerogative of the president for her to serve him sa mga coverages niya. Pero lahat po ng ito, ang akin lamang po dito ay kung titingnan po natin yung mga opisyal na plataforma ng gobyerno, the media platforms, we've been working very hard and we've been very objective, we've been very fair. Hindi po porket oposisyon ay hindi mababasa sa Philippine News Agency. In fact,
Hindi, totoo po yan. Sa Philippine News Agency, lalo-lalo na pag pumupunta sa mga probinsya, sila ay bukas sa lahat ng mga opisyal ng gobyerno. Hindi lamang yun sa lahat. At yung PTV4, congratulations. Precisely because of the popularity of the president and precisely because you employ people who have the pulse as you say, of the others. But PTV4 has a wider viewership, and even your radio station, which I was surprised to see, is #1, at least in your report. But we have to hold ourselves at a higher moral standard, is what I'm saying. Kasi parang importante na maabot natin ang ating mga kababayan. Importante that we are able to entertain. Importante that we are able to capture their interest. On the other hand, it is more important for us to set a good example, because this is the basis of the law. The basis of the law is that we have the moral authority to be able to implement it properly. That's what I'm saying. Kasi ganito yung nangyayari. Kung si ganyan nga, ganyan umarte, di ako rin, di ba? Yung mga bata, ganun din yung sinasabi. This is just my point. Secretary Muka was in our hearing, and I found her rather charming. She was able to disarm Senator Trillanes, which is not easy to do. So she has the capability. I have, in your group, I respect, well, okay, maybe it's a strong word, but in a way, I am amazed at the capabilities of some with their research capability. Again, on the other hand, when you look at it, to be able to suit a particular truth. Di ba, maraming magagaling sa grupo ninyo. Miss Badoy is one of them. Attorney Angeles is very good. Sass is very good. I mean, in terms of being able to push their goal, okay, whether it's propaganda or not. Thinking Pinoy, Franco Mabanta, maraming magaling. On the other hand, sa kabila, marami din magaling. Hover Lario, na matapang na nagpakita dito. That's why it's my job in public information to be able to balance this out. Maria Ressa has been the pioneer of this, social media. I remember, 2013, hindi pa yan masyadong sikat ang social media. Siya na nagsasabi, this is the next battleground, even before we were able to see it. That's why we are now at this cusp, okay? We have tremendous power in our hands to be able to spread not just the good news, but the truth. And Secretary Andanar, you hold a very important position. That's why I'm glad you're present here. Kasi dati, yung mga nasa subordinates mo lang yun nandito. Ngayon, nadidinig ko mismo sa inyo ang inyong polisiya. At importante yan kasi alam nyo naman, I strive to be fair also in our hearings. I'll acknowledge if there's something that you do good, but it's my responsibility and my mandate to be able to be accountable to the people. Now, why are we here today? We are here today because of a post of a certain Kokoy Dayaw. Okay, that's the truth about the senators that filed the resolution and what he called each and one of them. I think if I will go back to the story here, and okay. One of the things that were mentioned, I think, okay, hindi ko na matandaan kung ano pero oo, I think that, teka muna, ito, Senator Pacquiao was a motion kasi here, but ang mga sinabi tungkol dito, and Pinoy Ako Blog actually reposted here. Ang mga sinabi tungkol dito, and Pinoy Ako Blog actually reposted here. Kunyari, kay Senator Soto, tanungin mo si Pepsi Paloma, yung kay Senator Villar, basta kung ano-ano yung mga sinabi, na even Senator Bam was also really affected. Okay? Parang masyado naman yatang below the belt na rin yung mga ano. Yun ay pinost nitong si Kokoy Dayaw. That's why we called for this hearing. On the other hand, there are also